Hey guys. So today we're talking about your true ticket to happiness, joy, satisfaction in your life and in your business, and how over-focusing on money may in fact be keeping you stuck from going to your next level, stuck from having everything that you really desire in your life, and how money actually isn't the key to what you really want. Although you've been led to believe it will solve all your problems, it sure the heck doesn't. So by the end of today, you are going to understand what one question you can ask yourself that I have asked myself recently that just blew my brains out into outer space. And hopefully it'll do the same for you in terms of how do I get all of this abundance? How do I get all of this life that I really, really want? And what are the magical pieces? Because let me tell you, it's not that complicated and it's a heck of a lot more fun than you've been led to believe. All right, so let's jump right in. The first and foundational thing that you have to understand is something that I've been talking about my clients in over 20 years as a psychologist and 11 years running my business as a coach and helping people scale to new levels of wealth and success and abundance is you are not a problem to be solved. I want you to take that into your body right now and understand you are not a problem to be solved. There is nothing wrong with you. We are taught by our culture that we are a problem to be solved. I mean, this is what marketing basically does, right? Marketing teaches us there's a problem. We have wrinkles on our face, or I don't know, we have crusties in our toilet or whatever it might be that we need to solve by buying this thing. Marketing does this, right? Our entire society does this. You're a problem. You've got to fix yourself. You've got to fit in more. You should. Shame, judgment, all of this stuff comes up because we're constantly fed this diet of belief that says we're a problem. There's something wrong with us. We need to heal. We need to fix ourselves. And then finally things will be all right. But in the meantime, gee whiz, that feels pretty lousy. You know, like nobody likes feeling like they're a problem. Nobody likes feeling like they've got to be fixed before they get to have what they want. This is part of the whole problem when it comes to really taking in what it is that we really want in life, is we think that we're a problem. But here, I'm going to turn this whole thing very quickly and easily on its head for you. Instead of considering yourself or what's going on in your life that you don't particularly like as a problem to be solved, I want to challenge you to believe that it is just a puzzle that you get to noodle on, that you get to work your way through, that you get to discover the solution to. Feels a heck of a lot different than I'm a problem and I need to be fixed because there's something wrong with me to, you know what? This is a little bit of a puzzle. I like puzzles and I'm going to noodle on it and I'm going to put my little gears in motion and feel really excited about finding the solution to this thing. The problem paradigm, as I call it, comes from this place of stress, overwhelm, constriction, right? Dysregulated nervous system. The other, considering that it's a puzzle and that there's always a solution, that there's always an opportunity and there's always a doorway that leads to what we want, feels exciting. It feels really good. It feels like it's full of opportunities. It feels like there's a million different ways that you can go about it and succeed. This is the first and foremost, most important shift you need to make. The other way that I really like to talk about this is you're a diamond, right? When that diamond is dug up from the earth, it's perfect. It's vibrant. It's amazing. Even if it's covered in crap, even if it's covered in dirt, even if it's covered in coal or mud or whatever, that beautiful, vibrant diamond still exists on the inside of everything that's covered it up. And here's the thing, everything that you've experienced in your life until now, the traumas, the schooling, the cultural impacts, the experiences, the stuff you've taken on from your ancestors, the stories you've told yourself, the stuck emotions, all of this jazzy stuff has just covered up the vibrance that truly is you. So when we can step into this vibrance that exists on the inside, everything's available to us. Everything starts to feel really juicy. Everything feels really, really good. Everything feels really, really delightful. Everything starts to feel more playful. And we're going to be talking more about how to achieve this in your life and business in just a moment. But here's the thing. We think what we want is money, right? We think what we want is more success. It's more it's more impact. It's purpose. But really what we want is we just want to feel really freaking good, right? We want to feel happy. We want to feel relaxed. We want to feel trust and belief that the next breath is going to be there, that the next step will be available to us to take on our journey, that we can always have an opportunity in front of us. This is the essence of a delightful, pleasurable, playful, relaxed life, is this feeling that we can trust, so much so that we can frickin' chill out, that we can frickin' relax, right? So what we want is we want that joy. We want that fun. We want to enjoy the ride. We want to feel that tickled and electric energy each and every day that excites us, that makes us jump out of bed with passion and joy, right? But we don't sit there and go, what is my purpose and am I living it today? Or do we jump out of bed? We live our lives and we embody that joy, right? It's a totally different kind of energy. The problem is most people have confused what to do with where they want to go. So what to do are those dreaded hows. Well, how do I achieve the financial abundance? Well, how do I start my business? Well, how do I find my life partner? Well, how do I do this, right? And then we get stuck in it and we start to get all up in our stressy response that tells us that we just have to harder and work harder and strategize harder and all the things we want, instead of realizing what we really want is to just feel good right here, right now. To just be satisfied. To just take a nice deep breath and feel our shoulders relax. And to be able to trust that abundance awaits us around every single corner. So this is why so many people, when it comes to the law of attraction manifestation, they get obsessed with the hows, but those hows end up becoming like the big old roadblock in the way of what they actually want, which is to feel good right the F now. Not once they have the thing. Now. They think by figuring out the hows, they'll finally get what they want, the joy, the fun, and electricity. But as that commercial says, it's not how this works. It's not how any of this works. It's ass backwards, in fact. When you put the joy, the fun, the pleasure, the delight, the laughter, the enjoyment, the relaxation, the play on a carrot dangling in front of you, guess what that means? It's always in the future. You never get to have it here and now, which means you never get to have what you really want. Even when you achieve the next financial milestone, even when you achieve the next level of success, even when you achieve whatever it is that you've told yourself will finally give you that joy and satisfaction and play and playfulness and delight that you're really longing for. This is why we have to reverse the whole script. We have to reverse the whole thing, right? We got to reverse it so that we are experiencing that joy and pleasure and delight and playfulness and laughter and deliciousness of life here and now. And that's when it becomes much easier to create and attract everything that we want in life. Now, of course, this is applicable with the law of attraction and, manifestation and stuff like that. But dudes, this is freaking neurobiology. Dudes, this is the way the subconscious works. Dudes, this is the way we will protect ourselves from success, by sabotaging it because we think it's going to be a lot of hard work until we finally get there, and then we get to have the joy and the fun, right? It is not a intrinsically motivating, now we're in the field of psychology, intrinsically motivating factor that keeps you getting up in the morning, right? Why would you want to get up every morning and go like, I'm going to put my nose to the grindstone. I gotta go and just do the stuff. This is really hard and it's going to be a lot of work and we're going to haul these sacks of potato up the mountain over and over again until we got a big pile of potatoes up there. I know I'm being really ridiculous, but this is the feeling that a lot of people have about money, success, impact, getting their health straight, attracting the relationship they want, all this stuff. It's like there's all this like heavy lifting between here and there. And what happens is this actually ends up dysregulating your nervous system. This ends up basically disconnecting you from the exact resources you need in order to create what you want. So the way that the nervous system works is basically when we're stressed out, when we're in that place of have to, should, it feels really heavy, like the stuff that goes go people. What happens is our nervous system becomes dysregulated. We go into a fight or flight response. Our nervous system basically gives our entire physical body the signal, you got to survive. What that means is that all of our best aspects of ourselves go offline. Creativity, sense of humor, authenticity, our sex drive, our immunity, like you name it, all the good shit goes offline, because the only thing our being is obsessed with at that moment is survival. Not getting eaten by the lion, not having our brain digested and put into the lion poop later. Our entire being is focused on survival, which means everything else goes offline so that we can run, so that we can hide, so we can play dead, so that we can tell jokes to the lion. No, I'm kidding. But, so that we can survive. And then we wonder why, when we're in a chronic sense of stress around our body, around our relationships, around our health, why things just aren't working out the way we want them to. Because we're doing it ass backwards, because we're putting that carrot on the stick and saying to ourselves, well, as long as I'm just going to stress myself out for a while, and then I'll finally be able to be creative. I'll finally be able to, have the time to enjoy my kid's soccer game or whatever the heck I want to do. We can't do that, because it's the energy we have in the creation of the thing that turns out that basically develops into that thing. What I mean by that is my favorite image of this is from Seinfeld. If you used to watch that show Seinfeld, where Kramer and Newman are making the sausage and they're like dancing, making the sausage. And you realize that whatever you put in the big old sausage maker and you grind up is what you get on the outside, what comes out the other side. We can't put stress, hardship, hard work, and heavy lifting the potatoes up the hill into the front of the sausage maker and expect that sausage on the other side to taste like overflow and relaxation and abundance and a feeling of like, I am so excited to wake up every morning. No, that's not how it works. You're going to get a stressy business out the other side. You're going to get a stressful relationship out of the other side. You're going to get a stressful experience with money out of the other side. You're going to get a stressful relationship with your kids out of the other side. If what you're putting in the front end is all this stress and hardship and bleh, you gotta come from a place of play, relaxation, fun, overflow. I get to instead of I have to. Put it in the front of that sausage maker so that you get delicious, yummy, playful, delightful sausages out the other end. Hopefully you're picking up what I'm putting down here with this analogy, right? But this play and this pleasure are not available in this chronically stressed state, in this fight or flight state, right? You're not going to be sitting there playing in the sandbox when a lion's chasing you down. No, you're running. You don't have time to play. Your brain is going to take that part of you offline so that you can survive. And so what's really interesting here, and it's particularly applicable to high achievers or people who have gotten a lot of credit, pats on the back, acknowledgement for achieving things in their life, is rest is actually the key to creating more. Repose, relaxation, that delicious space where you get to breathe. That's when everything becomes available to you. That's when our brain comes back online, when we get out of that state of chronic fight or flight, that state of chronic stress. And our brain goes, oh, now we can come up with the new juicy ideas that we weren't going to focus on before. Oh, now we can be open to connecting with people in authentic ways. Oh, now I can, put together these new ideas in new and unexpected ways. Oh, now I can feel comfortable being myself. None of those things were on the table when you were in that chronic state of stress. Now, going back to where we started today, when you're over-focused on finances, when you're over-focused on social media numbers, when you're over-focused on a lot of these different metrics, and trust me, I follow my metrics. I'm not saying don't pay attention to your metrics. I'm saying you have to balance them When you are over focused on them, what happens is you start to take it personally. You start to take it personally if you don't reach your income goal that month, or if you don't have the social media likes, or if you're not creating a following as fast as you want to, or you're not meeting the love of your life. When you went out last Friday and you really wanted to meet somebody, you start to take it personally, and then you start to kick back into that stress response where you start to self-judge, you start to criticize. And again, going back to the beginning of today, you start thinking you're the problem. What could be more stressful than thinking you're the problem and you're something that needs to be fixed in order for you to have what you want, right? I know that feels pretty heavy and hard and horrible to me. How about to you? So when we're instead in this place of rest, relaxation, trust, belief, knowing, presence, what happens is we relax into all of our best aspects, all of the parts of our brain that want to back us up and want to show us the beautiful, delectable ways towards what it is that we want to create, whether that's a new business idea, whether that's a new relationship, or whether that's a new board game. It doesn't really matter. But all of these resources are available to us suddenly because we're entering into the rest and digest aspect of our nervous system, where we have the ability to generate ideas. We have the ability to create. We have the ability to live in that overflow of abundance instead of just surviving and doing what's worked so far and going with the status quo and just grinding and pushing and coming from that place of fear and anxiety of what if this doesn't happen? What if this doesn't happen? And so rest is one of the most important things that we can do for ourselves. And this is perhaps controversial, particularly from somebody who coaches people on money mindset. But when we are over-focused on, will this make money? Is this economically viable? Instead of, is this fun? Does this give me electric energy? Does this feel good or right for me? What we're doing is we're actually, most of the time, for most people on the planet, not everybody, we're actually injecting stress into the situation because we're looking at it through the keyhole of finances being the only metric that evaluates whether or not something is right for us. And that is actually not at all accurate. It's the old analogy of, I don't know if you ever heard this before. Many people think that their mind is the master, right? Their mind sets up the strategy. Their mind makes the decisions. That's not really true. The mind is really, it's sort of like your virtual assistant. It's going to go out there and help you get shit done. It's going to go out there and help you accomplish what it is that you decide on. But most decisions happen on an intuitive, emotional level. The field of psychology, tons of research backs us up. Decision-making, sales, all of this stuff, marketing, all of this stuff. We judge things very quickly on an emotional level first. And so when we are looking at things through the data, the keyhole of, oh, is this going to make me money? What we're doing is we're cutting ourselves off on the, at the knees from some of our greatest resources, our intuition, our emotions, all that stuff, which isn't available in the fight or flight response, by the way, like we've been talking about. And so when we're creating something only because it pays the bills, what happens is there's multiple levels of this. Not only are we injecting stress into the situation because now it doesn't feel like it's all that fun. It's just this thing that I have to go do, right? Now it becomes a thing I have to do instead of a thing I get to do. Secondly, it becomes a personal affront to us when we don't achieve these specific metrics, when we don't achieve the 10K, 20K, 40K month that we want to create. We instead take it personally and think something's wrong with us. See, now we're going into the something's wrong with us, I need to be fixed paradigm. I'm a problem to be fixed, which is then another stressor, which then pushes us into action based upon anxiety, fear, apprehension, tension, constriction, which then loops us back into that stress cycle where we lose all connection with our creativity, with our intuition, with our connection with other people, with play, with experimentation, with intrinsic motivation, all of the things we need in order to authentically succeed. Authentic self-expression, creativity, all of those things. We lose contact to all of those things. So what the heck do we do, right? What the heck do we do if doing it the way we've always done it ends up creating this chronic sense of stress? Everybody's telling me to set a freaking financial goal, but you're saying don't. That's not what I'm saying. Set a financial goal, but realize that the financial goal isn't the point. The financial goal or the impact goal or the social media goal or the weight loss goal, whatever it might be, that's not actually the point. The whole point is who you become in the achieving of that goal. What it is that you do every single day in achieving that goal. What it is that you reach for. How it is that you feel as you're achieving it. Let me give you an example. Let's say I am Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2. She's got the guns. She's like super strong. Apparently, Arnold Schwarzenegger was even intimidated by her guns when she showed up to set the first time. I love that story. Anyway, Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2. Do you think that she went out there and said, I'm going to get these guns and, that's going to get me to the gym every day? I mean, maybe she did. But usually what happens is somebody sets themselves a goal like, I'm going to look like a ninja like Linda Hamilton and freaking Terminator 2. I am going to make decisions every day which prioritize going to the gym, lifting weights, getting good nutrition, getting good sleep. And I feel really good when I make those decisions. And I feel really good when I lift those weights. And I feel my muscles getting stronger. And I feel my energy increasing. And I feel my mood improving. And I feel myself more and more of this ninja every day. And I feel the pleasure in the presence and in the embodiment of being the person who has that thing. Not the person who's got the guns already, but being the person who's making the choices that get me the guns is being the person who has that thing. And so that's the joy. That's the intrinsic motivation. That's all of the stuff that says, I get to be this Linda Hamilton. Knocking the Terminator in the face. Right. And so we actually get joy of embodying the journey. And I know everybody hates that old cliche. It's about the journey, not the destination. Well, it is, but not in this cliche way that it's like, oh, the road trip is half the point. Yeah, it is. But really, it's about who we are that made the choice to do that. It's about who the person is who's got the balls to go out there without a map and go on a road trip to discover how to get to LA and not know how. It's not the road trip itself. It's the courage. It's the courage to enjoy your life now. And part of that is really embodying that feeling and entitlement to rest. Now, here's a phrase that might blow your mind, and it's something that's absolutely blown my mind. Relaxation is the ultimate power move. Relaxation is the ultimate power move. Think about it. Every single person that you have ever seen in your life who is impeccably and epically powerful is relaxed in the having of it. If they are anxious in the having of the power, we all know on a subconscious level, they ain't that powerful because they wouldn't be that anxious. Think about somebody coming into a room who just feels really comfortable with themselves. They feel really relaxed and they feel really at ease and they feel like a success already. Again, who are they becoming in the achievement of the thing? And they walk in and they're just relaxed. Everyone is attracted to that person, right? Everybody sees that person and feels more at ease around that person. Everybody trusts that whatever it is they're talking about, their expertise, their success, I don't know, their mom's chocolate chip cookies, whatever the heck it is, they believe them. Because that relaxation is a subconscious indicator that the person isn't having to put on airs and isn't having to try hard, isn't having to prove anything, doesn't have to show up, make a point. You just get to breathe and exist. Guess what? In this moment, right now, right here, in this time, in this breath, they get to feel good. They get to feel relaxed. And then they show up as authentic and they're more connected. no more creative, and they get better opportunities because people are more attracted to them. This is the power of relaxation. And this is why being relaxed is the ultimate power move. So it's not only being relaxed in terms of feeling confident and feeling good about yourself and feeling as though you know what the heck is going on. It's also just putting a freaking flag in the sand or a line in the sand or whatever kind of thing in the sand you want to put in the sand and saying, I choose to feel relaxed. I don't have to push harder. I don't have to force myself outside of my neurobiological limits with caffeine, with, I don't know, whatever it is that I'm trying to do to keep myself awake, with sugar, with whatever, because I just got to push harder. I just got to work longer hours. This is not the means to success. The means to success is through the doorway of rest, relaxation, play, and fun. And I know everybody is always like, girl, I don't really believe you. Well, trust me, I see every one of my clients move through this and they're like, I don't know. I feel like, oh, wow, I didn't know I could feel this good. I didn't know I could feel this good. And they end up feeling really jazzed up, not just in what it is they're working on, their business, their income, their relationships, their health, whatever it is. But suddenly they just feel good. And they're like, why didn't I do this sooner? And I'm like, yeah, why did you do it sooner? No, I'm kidding. It's today is so that you can do this too, so that you can really embrace your capacity to rest without guilt, to go at your own rhythm, to not feel all of this pressure. It's like water, water can overcome the hardest things in the world because it knows when to flow. It knows when to yield. It knows when to move around things. It's not always pushing, forcing. It can step back into harmony, presence, repose. Another example is the archer pulling back the arrow, right? The arrow needs to go backwards in order to gain energy before it can propel forward, before it can go and hit that, bullseye. We need to have the stillness before flight. Yet as high achievers, we don't appreciate our need for stillness. We don't appreciate that there is so much brilliance to be had in the void, in the stillness, when we stop trying to make things happen or fix all of these problems and instead allow and receive our next creative evolution. When you loosen your grip on outcomes and really allow space for the mystery and intelligence of life to unfold in front of you, this is when you are truly open to new ways of being, new ways of having, and new ways of doing things. It's like that Einstein quote, you can't create new things with the old way of thinking. Well, how do you think you get out of that old way of thinking? You sure don't think your way out of it. Or go, what I need to do is I need to fix that old way of thinking. And then that fixes it. You have to let it go. We just talked about this last week in our last podcast about letting things go to let things in. So this is where we need to come from. We need to come from the place of understanding that we may be and may have been operating from a place of chronic stress, tension, fight or flight, dysregulated nervous system without even knowing it thus far in our journey and in our lives. So here's how to tell if this is you. Do you feel tense when you think about having what you want? Do you start to think things like it's going to be a lot of work or, it's a big battle to fight or a big hill to climb, but I'll get there eventually? Do you think things like that? Do you have trouble sleeping or do you have anxious thoughts or do you find yourself, just feeling like there's all of this tension and you don't know where it's coming from or what's going on with it? Are you in a chronic state of hypervigilance? Like, are you always on the lookout for the next problem? Are you always on the lookout for what might go wrong? Are you always giving yourself plans, not just plan A or maybe a little plan B, but B, C, D, E, F, G, and you're always over planned to the point that you know you're going to be safe. Ironically, those B, C, D, E, F, G plans are usually so constructed and false and based upon fear and anxiety that they're not actually the best plans to begin with. But don't get me started. Do you find yourself spiraling into negative emotional states? Things like anxiety, doubt, fear, self-criticism, imposter syndrome, all of that stuff, or even procrastination, going to fight or flight responses, things like feeling like it's all on your shoulders and you're in it alone. Fight response, flight response. This is overwhelming. Or a freeze response. I'm just going to stare at the Netflix because I don't know what to do. Or the fawn response. Well, if everybody likes me, then all my problems will be over. Are you finding yourself stuck in any of those? The next thing to ask yourself, once you identify if you are feeling chronic stress without even knowing it, tuning into your body, seeing if you're creating, you can feel that tension in your shoulders, if you've got sore neck, all of that stuff, is are you listening to your body? What are your physical sensations telling you? I believe that we have three different, we need to be able to evaluate ourselves on three different aspects of stress. The cognitive, as in, am I having stressful thoughts? The emotional, am I feeling stressful emotions? But then the physical, is my body giving me the indication that I am actually stressed without me listening to it? This is one of those things that I myself, and I'm going to tell you guys about what's going on for me here in a minute, is that I myself have experienced many times. I will cognitively evaluate my stress levels at a 2 out of 10. And I'll say, I'm not stressed. Everything's fine. I'm just going to do the next thing. I am just so on fire, doing all this stuff. And then my body is screaming at me that I'm an 8 out of 10 in stress. I'm not sleeping right. I've got, a cramp in my shoulder, or I have an autoimmune thing. My autoimmune stuff is flaring up. Who's experienced this before, where your body is screaming one thing, even though your mind is like, this handled? Because as high achievers, we're taught to have it handled. We're taught to tick more boxes to get more things done as a way of handling things, and to feel disembodied and to not listen to our body. So what is your body saying about your success, about money, about abundance, about working hard? Now, here are some questions to find your self-alignment. What if the measure of success is how many times I feel surprised and delighted every day? What is delighting me right now? What if success is actually measured in how good I feel? Does this new thing, new person, new identity, new opportunity, new set of sheets, does it make me feel good? Does it make me feel bad? Does it make me feel light? Does it make me feel heavy? Does it make me feel tense? Does it make me feel relaxed? And what if success is truly about getting to feel relaxed and playful in the everyday? And then asking yourself, particularly when it comes to money, success, abundance, your business, creativity, authenticity, asking yourself this question: what would you create if you didn't need to make money? How would you show up differently if you were financially supported completely? Would you express yourself differently? Would you be weirder? Would you talk in silly voices? Would you say things in a bolder way? Would you dress differently? Would you have more controversial opinions? Would you have different standards for your relationships, for your client, for the clients you'd work with, for your financial investments, for your friendships? How would things change if you didn't need to make money? Would you pursue your business as it is, or would you not really want it? If you took the keyhole of money out of the equation and then began to look at it in terms of, what would I do if joy, pleasure, play, feeling good was the ultimate evaluator on whether or not I should take this opportunity, relationship, pathway through the forest. I don't know, a piece of chocolate, whatever it might be. Right? The key here to understand is that bringing it all together is you're not a problem to be solved. You don't have to fix yourself. You just have to puzzle through some of these things and find our ways and opportunities to live with more joy and pleasure and relaxation and fun in the everyday. Because every day is the best day of your life. Every day is an opportunity to feel so ooey gooey good that you are just like, these goals are just the frosting. Because this cake, me, my life, the person I am, and the reaching for those goals, in every breath, that's that yummy, yummy cake that doesn't even need frosting. Once I achieve the goals, the financial goals, I don't know, moving to Hawaii, the whatever the heck I want, that's just going to make the cake, me, my life, my everyday, even better. Because it's already so damn good. And that's what I want for you, my friends. That's what I want for you, is to feel that it's so damn good. And to understand that rest, in some ways, is the most interesting challenge in order to reach for that feeling good. The opposite of pushing yourself. The opposite of what it is that you've been taught all along is the only portal, only pathway to success. You know, it doesn't seem like rest will work, right? But the paradox is it's key, you know, and sometimes rest can feel harder to a high achiever than doing things, than pushing. And it can actually make you feel really, like not at ease, because we have a messed up relationship with ease. And I've done a recent podcast about that as well that I encourage you to listen to. So happiness, satisfaction, meaning, connection, they're all found in your presence in the here and now. I mean, think about it. You can't connect with somebody heart to heart unless you're fully present with them. You can't connect with your creativity unless you're fully present with an idea. You can't fully connect with the appreciation of, I don't know, your dinner, the ice cream you're eating, if you're not fully present with the experience. You can't fully, you can't fully experience an orgasm if you're not fully present in that experience as well. You need to be able to be present. And presence exists through that ultimate power move of feeling relaxed here and now. And that is access to the portal of play and pleasure and fun and experimentation and delight. And you get to have that now. So, as a portion of this, as I've been talking about over the last few podcasts, I am on my way here at the end of the week to a creative sabbatical where I am unplugging from my business and plugging into my own radical creativity, my own rest, my own repose, my own spaciousness, where the only thing that needs to happen is for the monkeys in my head to have a party and me to be at the party and enjoy the monkey party, right? To just laugh more and relax more and see where my creative evolution in my business is taking me. Because as you guys know, I am a high achiever who's been addicted to, success, financial goals, ticking the boxes, getting things done. It's the most abundant time in my business that I've ever experienced. And I am taking the radical step, radical leap, embodying the radical courage to step back and say, oh boy, there's so much more available. And I get to step into that. And in order to do so, I'm going to get up and listen so that I can see what that rest and relaxation and play and overflow are making available to me. And so this will be my last podcast for a while, but I will be returning soon and have all kinds of juicy things to share with you. But in the meantime, I would love to hear from you. How has rest played a role in your success? Has it been something that you have fought against and felt like, well, I've got to earn my right to rest. I've got to accomplish this goal before I can rest. I've got to accomplish this thing before I can laugh and be silly and be all self-expressed and creative? Or has it been something that you've given yourself delicious permission for the entire way? All right. Until the next time I see you, be groovy, rest, relax, and enjoy the crap out of your life. Because every day is the best day of your life when you realize that every day you get better and better at making it delicious. All right. I'll see you soon.